People often talk about team form or streaks. This team have won 5 on the bounce, that team haven't scored in 3 matches. Form can show whether a team has responded well to a tough run of fixtures or is in a slump, and long runs of bad form could be an indicator that a team has lost faith in its manager or isn't coping with the absence of a key player. But we rarely talk about player streaks in detail. While a player might be said to be on a hot streak of scoring, aside from sites like WhoScored that generate ratings, it's tough to track whether players are generally performing well in streaks or not. Serie A this season has seen 2 dominant teams, a cluster of second-tier sides vying for European qualification, and a spread below that. Benevento, though, are propping up the table and seem adrift even from Spal and Verona. After 25 matches, the Serie A table looks like this. The team's streaks are of interest too. While top sides Napoli and Juventus have won the most games in a row, it's actually 5th side Inter who have gone the most games without losing. Inter also have the most draws on the bounce, including a bizarre recent run of 4 1-1 draws in a row. Only Verona and Benevento have gone 5 games without scoring, while Crotone have failed to net 4 times in a row. Benevento have lost 14 games in a row, and it's little wonder they're bottom, but they have had 2 wins in a row, which is better than either Verona or Spal have managed. In Serie A so far, only 7 players have scored double figures or more. Chiaro Immobile leads the way with 22 goals scored. Icardi has carried Inter to a degree, while Napoli, Juventus and Roma have clearly relied less on one out-and-out goalscorer. If we look at the 2 top scorers, Immobile and Icardi, both have only missed 3 games for their team this season. Add in Fabio Quagliarella, who has played all but 1 match, and you can see in more detail how these 3 have performed. Immobile has the highest total for games with consecutive scoring, a good indicator that if he scores in 1 game, he is most likely of these players to score in the next game too. He also has the highest cumulative total, which is found by adding the number of goals within an unbroken scoring run. Immobile scored 7 in 4 and also has 6 in 3 games from earlier in the season. Icardi, on the other hand, scores less often in long runs, but his longest scoreless streak is shorter. Icardi has not gone 3 games in a row without scoring this season so far, though he could do this when he returns to the side, having failed to play in the last 3 Inter games and not having scored in the 2 games prior to that. Indeed, if you were a gambler, you might suggest that the best time to back Icardi to score is when he's failed to score in the previous 2 games. Quagliarella has the lowest cumulative total and the longest scoreless streak, but apart from that, there's little to choose between him and Icardi, which reflects well on the Sampdoria player, given his age and the side he plays for. If we look at the other big scorers in Serie A, we can see that Mertens is very streaky. Only once this season has Mertens scored and not gone in to score in the next game in the league, against Cagliari. In his defence, he scored in the game before the Cagliari match, but it was a Champions League fixture against Feyenoord. Gonzalo Higuain is quite streaky. He scored in 4 Serie A games in a row in October and November for 5 goals, and got 5 in 3 in February. Paulo Dybala got 8 goals in 4 games in August and September, but has not scored in consecutive matches in Serie A since, and Edin Dzeko scored in 4 Serie A games in a row between the home win against Verona in September and the away win against AC Milan in October, but he too has not scored in consecutive games since. Of course, the next stage for this sort of analysis is to look at fixtures, whether teams face a run of easier sides and strikers exploit this, and to see individual game XG figures to see whether some games just generate better chances in runs. Strikers do not operate in a vacuum and are responsive to the chances created and the tactics used both by their side and the opposition. What is clear, though, is that some strikers feast in short bursts, like Dybala and Mertens, while others, like Icardi, get 1s and 2s with regularity. Whether this is due to intangibles like confidence or due to runs of teams played isn't clear, but that's the next thing to explore.